Well, you laughed in the face of death, and now you've made it to the last show of the season. Congratulations. Here's your reward. A cliff jumper who goes down, but has a problem with what goes up. A Japanese man who bows down and winds up getting some head. A death row inmate who won't stay for his own execution. And a sex-obsessed psycho who's all heart. You still laughing? Good. It's the next episode of 1,000 Ways to Die. Warning. The deaths portrayed in this show are real and extremely graphic. Names have been changed to protect the identities of the deceased. Do not attempt to try any of the actions depicted. You will die. Death is everywhere. Most of us try to avoid it. Others can't get out of its way. Every day, we fight a new war against germs, toxins, injury, illness, and catastrophe. There's a lot of ways to wind up dead. The fact that we survive it all is a miracle. Because every day we live, we face 1,000 ways to die. Last year, over 3,000 people died by drowning. Only one managed to do it like this. It started the way a lot of accidental deaths do. A combination of alcohol, college kids, and the prospect of wild, naked sex. The reservoir was a legendary college hangout, famous for the cliff, and only the bravest took the leap.
Lots of people in our society who don't do anything else than risk-taking. They're professional risk-takers. But those people, they're going to be very thoughtful about the risk they take.
The combination of beer and booty had Patrick staring down at the water 60 feet below.
It's the people who take those risks but then don't pay heed to the warning signs. Those are the people who end up in the obituary column of social Darwinism.
In what would later be reported as a freak accident, Patrick hit the surface at 30 miles an hour, at the perfect angle for a powerful jet of water to shoot up his rectum and blow out his large intestine. Massive internal bleeding caused him to pass out and drown.
Oh my God, it's exploding, guys!
Now, if this guy had so much force built up in his colon from all that water, it probably ripped his colon apart. The colon is a very vascular tissue. There's a lot of arteries that supply it. He'd probably die of acute blood loss from all of the blood being spewed into the peritoneal cavity.
If these kids had less alcohol and more blood in their brains, one of them might not have wound up like this. Everyone loves a good laugh. No one more than Chuck. Chuck would spend a good part of each day sitting in his favorite bar, laughing. Chuck was obsessed with jokes. Good ones, bad ones, and any in between. He couldn't tell a joke to save his life, but he could laugh at one like no other. On this particular day, Chuck was told a joke that triggered an epic laughing binge.
We all have the experience when we laugh long and hard, how we have to gasp afterwards. We're contracting forcefully when we laugh. We're sort of making a prolonged series of maneuvers that are sort of like grunting, when we strain and grunt, and that can affect things. You hear about some people that actually wet their pants when they laugh.
No one knows what the joke was, but Chuck laughed, and he laughed, and he laughed. He laughed until he left, and when he came back the next night, he was still laughing. Chuck laughed for 36 straight hours. What started out as fun was now torture. Chuck was trapped in his own endless laugh track. Laughing this long and this hard was putting a tremendous strain on Chuck's heart.
Laughing for an extended period of time alters how we breathe, so you increase the workload of the heart, you increase the amount of energy you're putting into breathing, and so you start to increase the amount of work your body's doing in general. The medical term is a valsalva. To take a deep breath in, close our windpipe, strain, and then let it out. That does increase the work in the heart. And if you were to do that for 36 hours, that could lead to heart attack or heart failure.
Finally, Chuck's overworked heart seized up. In the end, Chuck got the last laugh, and it killed him. Coming up, in Japan, bowing isn't just a courtesy, it's deadly. And
Hello, suckers!
death row from the front row can scare you to death. This is Yoshi Nakamura. If he seems nervous, that's because he is. Yoshi has a very important job interview. That's why he's making such a spectacle of himself. He's practicing his bow and what he will say when he meets a certain Mr. Saichi Tanaka, an executive at a large auto parts factory.
Usually, average 200 to 300 times a day, people bow. There are three different ways of bowing.
Yoshi doesn't know it, but the person he's here to meet, Mr. Tanaka, is already sizing up the crazy man over there talking to himself.
Neck is the most vulnerable part of the body, and then presenting neck part to opposite person is present whole my body vulnerable to you to show my respect.
They say you never get a second chance to make a first impression. If that's true, Yoshi's screwed. But poor Yoshi has a bigger problem than unemployment. Inside his head is a ticking time bomb. An aneurysm had formed deep inside his brain.
Sudden contact and then deceleration cause the aneurysm to blow open. They're fragile. They're not normal vessels, they're weaker. And when that aneurysm blows open, the blood pressure drives the blood out at quite a rapid rate, filling the closed volume of the skull and squishing brain.
Many people live their whole lives with an aneurysm without ever finding out. Yoshi found out about his the hard way.
You usually pass out, and then it gets worse from there as the aneurysm expands and really squashes normal brain next to it.
Your typical Japanese businessman bows 300 times a day. On this day, Yoshi bowed out. It was a special day for the man behind the blinds. His name was Scott Randall, and this was the day he was scheduled to die by lethal injection. Randall was bad to the bone. 3 people died by his hand, and you don't want to know how.
What are you doing, Skippy?
The families of his victims were there to make sure he got what was coming. A 2-bit actor when he wasn't killing anyone, Randall relished his final role.
Slip the juice to me, Bruce.
A lethal injection involves a number of drugs. The first, sodium pentothal, is supposed to knock the inmate out, and then potassium chloride finishes him off.
Here comes death.
But there was a hitch.
Nothing. I don't feel a thing. Nothing.
Even with enough drugs in his system to drop a rhino, Randall's heart didn't skip a beat.
Nada.
I think that this guy wasn't Superman, and that the reason that he stayed alive was because the tourniquet was too tight on his arm and the drug wasn't able to flow past the injection site to his heart where it was supposed to go.
The authorities were mystified.
Please, sir, may I
Then the
have
order
more?
came in.
Release him.
Scott Randall, convicted murderer and lifetime scum, had a new lease on life.
Nothing to it. You couldn't kill me. You couldn't kill me. Son of a bitches!
But in the middle of his fury, Randall went down and then out. Once unstrapped, the drugs found the one thing most swore Randall never had, a heart, and finished him off.
When you deliver drug, you always take the tourniquet off. Otherwise, there is no drainage of the compound into the central circulation. It was just sitting in his arm.
It's hard to justify one death with another, but a creep like Scott Randall, he deserved to die.
What do you think you're doing?
When we return, for one thief, drinking and robbing doesn't go down too well. And an unstable pervert has a heart-on the table. Zach Taylor had just finished his liquid breakfast and was ready to pick up some lunch. Zach was always angry life didn't recognize his true genius. But he was just another drunk who paid for his booze with his grandmother's stolen Social Security checks.
Hello, sir. How are you today?
When we are suffering from alcoholism, something happens to our brains. You don't behave like yourself. That's right where addiction lays. And you just do whatever you have to do to survive. That's what this guy was doing.
If life wasn't going to reward this angry, drunken loser, he'd just go ahead and take it all himself.
Hey, what do you think you're doing? Get out of my place now! Hey, stop that! What are you doing? Come on, go! Get out! Get out, you freak!
The liquid lunch will have to wait, but Zach's not leaving without a snack. Zach's anger finally got the best of him. He made it out the door, hot dog in mouth, but dropped to the ground, dead.
Invariably, this guy aspirated this large hot dog, which is about the perfect size to lodge right into your main stem bronchus. This isn't a tough case. He couldn't ventilate, he couldn't oxygenate, and he hit the floor from hot dog aspiration.
I'm very upset. This is very upsetting. I mean, I run a good store and this...
Calm down. Just tell me what happened.
As I told you, he appeared to be extremely drunk.
There's a reason your mother told you never to eat and run. You might choke on your own wiener. We've enjoyed stories of deaths that were stupid or incredible. But what you're about to see will make you question, what kind of beast is man? Lucas wasn't exactly a ladies' man. In fact, he never even dated one. Isolated, lonely, this schizophrenic desert rat was traveling down a dark path leading to psychopathic, sexually deviant behavior. In a smutty magazine, Lucas had learned how to rig a cow heart to a car battery and then use it as a sex toy. He brought home his new date from a local slaughterhouse. The table was set. A fresh cow heart he named Bessie, a fresh battery, and a throbbing stiffy. Lucas was ready for love.
This is beyond a fetish. This is, like you said, it's beyond bestiality, it's beyond zoophilia. It makes me think of somebody who, rapes and murders and does it simultaneously. And that this person could conceivably been headed into some really, really chilling waters had he not died the way he did.
Lucas was turned on by the fluttering action created by the 12-volt current flowing from the battery into the cow heart. But it wasn't getting him where he needed to go. He reasoned that if 12 felt good, then 110 volts would feel about 10 times better. When Lucas completed an electrical circuit from the wall socket into the heart, he knew he was onto something. Bessie was all charged up and pumping ferociously. All that was left was to screw his heart on into Bessie's socket. But as soon as the two lovers connected, Lucas went straight to premature electrocution. Bessie kept right on beating, but Lucas's heart went from on to off.
I think here we have an incompatibility with modern life, the way we understand it and the way we value it on so many different levels, on so many fundamental levels, that if you were to put this person in a different time period, he would always stand out. It goes beyond social Darwinism. It's Darwinism to the extreme.
Is there a lesson to be learned from this tale of broken hearts? When you go looking for love in all the wrong places, make sure you're well grounded. Up next, a deadly cobra sends a bite victim down a dark hole.
I'm bit. You gotta go to the hospital.
It should have been just a typical day at David Weather's snake farm. A wild animal and reptile handler by trade, David is well versed at wrangling some of the most deadly creatures on Earth. Today, it's a monocle cobra, one of the most poisonous snakes in the world. But no matter how good or safe one is,
Careful, man. Hang on.
sooner or later, death is going to bite you. Did you blink? When tossing the snake back in its box, the cobra lunges at David. Within a fraction of a second, it's over.
Oh boy. I'm bit. We gotta go to the hospital.
And all of a sudden, bam, I get bit. Immediately, I knew I was bit bad, so I was like, all right, we gotta get to the hospital.
One drop is all that's needed to kill a human in 60 minutes. And 5 of those minutes have already expired for David. And as an experienced snake handler, David knows well that his life is hanging by a thread.
Get me there quick, because I'm having problems breathing.
I can't wait for the ambulance. I'm too far out here in the middle of nowhere.
Albert said more than likely it's going to cause paralysis inside of an hour, and I'll be at respiratory failure inside of an hour.
Every second feels like minutes. Every minute feels like hours.
I got this big black spot starting to grow within 5 minutes, and it feels like a knife's jabbing me. I try not to think of how bad it was.
It's been only 10 minutes, and already the cobra bite is growing, beginning to eat a $half-size hole in his stomach.
As we're going, it's like, all right, now the traffic's coming at 8 o'clock at night. I'm like, all right, there's too many cars. I'm like, forget the red lights, don't stop. Red lights do not exist when you're dying from cobra bites.
27 minutes after the bite, David makes it to the hospital. Dizzy, nauseous, and with his kidneys failing, David fights to stay conscious as he waits for the anti-venom to be flown in from over 200 miles away.
I'm dead. I'm dead, I'm dead, I'm dead. Like, it's, all these things are going through my head. And finally, after the anti-venom got there, and these guys stood by my side, like, up until I was showing recovery signs.
David held off death that night, but his painful recovery took months and taught him new respect for the mighty Cobra.
I know that I don't ever want to relive anything like that ever again.
It's original.